Good evening, folks. Here is the one and only Wookie with another episode of the Wookie Automotive Racin Ramblin podcast. And I am wore out, so let's see how long I can trudge along with this week's um, road course racing. That happened this weekend. No cup racing. They had a rare off week for those guys, but we went ahead and the truck and Xfinity guys had uh, respected standalone road course races this weekend. Xfinity at Road America and trucks up at Canadian Tire and Motorsports Park, also known or formerly known as Mosport, over there in Ontario. It was personally, I think the Xfinity race was a lot better, but these two races, considering they were short lap wise, not necessarily lengthwise, uh, kind of ran into the same problem we had at the Cup race at Sonoma, where these races are so technically short, quote unquote short, and run so few laps. The stages really kind of hinder them. Uh, the Xfinity race is a 180 mile race, but it's a 4 mile track. You only run 45 laps, so we were running cautions. We were running stages every 10 laps. That was kind of dumb. Uh, and then trucks was a little better. They had 20 lap stints, but still, it's really something NASCAR's got to look into for these road course races, because it kind of pulls a lot of the strategy out of it when you know that these stages are about half of a fuel run. So, anyways, we did Xfinity Series up in Wisconsin for their annual event up in Road America in Elkhart Lake. Beautiful, beautiful 4 mile road course. Definitely one of the crown jewel road courses in the country. I think I've said that a couple times already on the podcast. But anyways, we once again ran three cars. Timmy in the 13. Carl, the boss man, ran the 66. The old 589. That's the original old blue car that turned into the Red Hood Dodge that famously Alon Day drove. And then Chad drove his normal Toyota, his steel body Toyota that we've been running on the these road courses. But anyways, had a little bit of mechanical issues with we just didn't have the brake package quite right at on the 13 car. Parked it early, or a little bit past halfway. Carl, we had a lot of that car sat in storage for a year now. It got wrecked with like 2 laps to last lap or 2 laps to go. At last year, Tim Cowan driving blew a tire got to the end of Canada corner. It hit the tire wall, so we put that car together. Didn't quite have enough time to get it together for Watkins Glen, and then we ended up using it as a backup for Mid Ohio. But anyways, ended up using that as a Carl ended up driving, and he tried going the whole way. Couldn't quite make it to the end. Had an engine failure at the end. He did have a little skirmish at the start of the race. The transmission actually hung in gear, and acted like he had stuck throttle, so he had to spin the car, and then that stalled it. And then with the transmission stuck in gear, couldn't get it. It stuck in fourth gear. He couldn't get it back going, but eventually they got it back going, and he kind of rode around, doing his own thing. And then about 10 laps to go, the engine shut off. So we'll get her back, see what's going. And that car will probably be back at the Roval event. All three cars, not much damage. All minimum damage, putting them together easily. So we'll turn around and put them back together. And Roval event in about a little over a month coming up. So that'll be the last road course race. And of course, that ought to be a fun one. NASCAR finally announced, "Oh, rain tires are approved, running a Roval." Yeah, that the first lap of the race is gotta be both races are gonna be wreck fests, or just what cars wadding them up into the first set of corners. And if you add rain to that mix, it's gonna be a whole lot worse. But I'm excited just to see just how crazy this is gonna go down. I'm really hoping it kind of somewhat halfway goes together, because there is the proposal that Pocono is looking at using their internal road course for their second event next year, which I think would be a great idea for a place like Pocono. Kind of differentiate the two, because the races are two cup events are a month apart, and then you got a couple weeks later get the IndyCar race. So they need to differentiate the events a little bit. And personally, I feel running one of the NASCAR weekends at the infield road course at Pocono would be halfway decent. And it's actually a decent little road course at Pocono. Of course, it's a 2.5 mile quote unquote oval track, but I think that helps the infield road course. It's not as tight and demanding as the Roval at Charlotte. They've tried for years trying to run that Roval in various uh, configurations between Legends cars and IMSA, or Grand Am and Trans Am and stuff like that, and it's always seemed to not work out too well. Problem is with these mile and a halves is that the infield, you got the garage areas for the respective series, and then you got try to cram in the road course and still leave a little bit of room for the infield campers and hospitality and all that. So you're really asking a lot for a place like a mile and a half track like that. Um, Now places like Phoenix and New Hampshire always had great road courses because they used the outside of the course to their advantage. Uh, Now New Hampshire International Speedway is built on the grounds of the old, what was it, Briar Motorsports Park, and you can still see, and in much of the original road course is still there. If you ever look at the backstretch, you'll see like a road going up a hill. That's part of the original road course, and it's still used to this day. They just use it for SCCA and Lemons racing for the most part. But trying to find some stats on the road course at Pocono. Um, Wikipedia is not giving me any info, and it's all talking about the oval. um, but yeah, um, I think I know of some people that have raced SCCA stuff on the Pocono road course, and they seem to love it there. And then I think that's the next step for Indianapolis. Is that I really think they should uh, look into running the road course at Indianapolis, because really the NASCAR cars don't race well there. Um, IndyCar is one thing, but the NASCAR cars, the track is narrow, it's flat, you got tight corners. There's no real opportunity from the pass, and then you got long straightaways, so a lot of it's just motor. So yeah, it's just one of those deals. Let's get into the news. Let's shake down, or yeah, quick blurbs from this week. Uh, Friday, it was announced Robert Wickens, who had a vicious crash last week at Pocono on the opening laps. It hit the catch fence. Very similar crash to Kenny Breck's, but had some spinal injuries and all that. Announced on Friday they were finally taking him off the breathing machine, which is holy crap. We didn't get that bit of news on Monday, but he's got a long road ahead of him, and so hopefully he recovers and we can see him back behind the wheel. Um, as for Indy cars at the high speed ovals like that, there's so much more risk in open wheel racing. It's kind of stuff like that. But there's always room to improve. We've seen so many wrecks in the catch fences at Daytona and Talladega on the NASCAR side that real tore up cars. And we've had a lot of bad wrecks, catch fence wise, in open wheel racing on these mile and a halves and high speed ovals. It's the next. It's just the next step. Is what can we do? Because right now, what really been hurting these drivers, and actually killing them too, because that's what happened to Dan Weldon, is because he hit head first into the fence and hit the pole and the concrete pylons. But what can we do to next engineer? We did a great job with the safer barriers. What's next? And that is a job for people a lot smarter than me. But anyways, other news, a lot of throwback races or throwback paint schemes being announced this week, because it's Darlington's next week. Jamie McMurray's running a throwback to an old Bill Elliott special paint scheme. Scroll down here a little bit, see what else. Denny Hamlin's thrown back to his first race car, in which has had the same colors of what the current FedEx colors are. So that's cool. The 13 car Germain, they're running a throwback to Geico's first full-time entry into the sport with the Cup Series with Germain. So cool to see that paint scheme back aboard. Scrolling back down, see what else we got. There was a lot of stuff that was already announced. Chris Buescher is doing a faux back, doing a 30s themed bushes paint scheme. David Rankin's doing a throwback to Dale Jarrett's first Cup win. So that kind of got the old school Sitco style. Not sure how I don't think that paint scheme really. I think it's just the difference in the cars over the years. The current Fusion is just so kind of blobby looking. That paint scheme that car doesn't do that paint scheme justice. I think that paint scheme looked a lot better on the more square Thunderbird of the time. AJ Allmendinger's running a throwback to one of JTG's first push cars back in the old Kingsford days, which kind of raised the questions like, oh wow, Kingsford is no longer with JTG. How long has it been like that? And apparently it's been like that for a couple of years now. So yeah, it took everybody by surprise. Oh, we finally announced we're doing the Darrell Waltrip Victory Tour paint scheme that we were going to do last year, but we ended up not doing. We got sponsored this year, so that is going forward. And then Jeffrey Earnhardt is running a throwback to his grandfather's 1978 Cardinal Tractor Ford paint scheme. So nice to see that. And then a little more elite coming out on the Xfinity side. I don't got a full list ahead in front of me, but I know we got one coming up for the 40 car. Stay tuned for that one. And then the 13 this week will be the 72 for that's our fourth number. We haven't run it all this year because we've been running the 72, or we're running the 13. But we're doing a Benny Parsons throwback. So there's that. As for silly season news, it's getting sillier and sillier and sillier. The Big K sale finally went through. Front Row Motorsports did come about with the charter. They did announce they're selling a bunch of equipment to Victor Obika, and I am highly anticipating that shit show whenever he shows up at the track. I really hope he's got some people that know what they're doing. But anyways, also in other news, a lot of question marks regarding around Furniture Row. Rumors that there, since GMS wasn't going to get the BK charter, they were looking at investing in possibly buying out Furniture Row. Now, a lot of people are like, well, why? Why would they were winning races? They're one of the favorites for the championships. They won the championship last year. Well, keep in mind, to get to where they are, they've had to raise their spending exponentially. I think and then it came out during all these talks that 5 Hour Energy was paying something along the line of like $10 million for just half the season, which is outrageous. So if you factor in that, that would also mean that Bass Pro Shops is paying another $10 million, and then Auto Owners Insurance is paying so much, and then you got so much of Barney's own money from Furniture Row. That's a lot of cash, and if you don't got the, if you're not gonna spend that much, you're not gonna do what they're doing at the track, and that's just where the sport is right now. So that, and also at the same time, Barney's not the owner. Barney Visser's not a young man. He spent a lot of money to get that team where it is. They won the championship. He had to miss it because he had a heart attack last year around the time of Phoenix. So one could say that he's accomplished what he set out to accomplish, and he's ready to retire. So, but they sat down with GMS this week. Apparently, the talks didn't go through what both parties intended. So apparently, there's no deal. But it's really, let's wait till the end of the year to see. I'm sure they're going to talk again, and they'll get closer to a deal. Basically, the talk is that it would be a 2-car team, Martin staying in the 78, and then Spencer Gallagher would run for Rookie of the Year in the second car. Which, let's not fool ourselves, that's been Spencer's track for quite a while now. He got his win, in, of course, and then he kind of flubbed it all up with the drug test. But that is just the way the cookie crumbles. And then, so anyways, looking else in the news, Joey Gase is running Richmond in a couple weeks in the Cup Series. I will say, expect him to be full time in the Cup Series next year. It's just that's where the way he's trying to work to be. And then and then there was the whole deal with Derek Daly, and apparently his remarks in the 1980s, apparently behind closed doors. Basically on Friday, as I'm sitting there, I got guys trying to message me while I'm doing this. Basically, Lilly Diabetes, who's been behind Derek's son Connor for a couple years now, they did a big deal that they were going to run 3 cars at Road America this weekend, and Connor's making his NASCAR debut, yada, yada, yada. Well, lo and behold, this little news nugget came out this week, and some people got fired over this TV station, and then as a result, Lilly Diabetes pulled their sponsorship, or pulled their, I guess they didn't pull the sponsorship, they still paid it, but they pulled the wrap from the 6 car for this weekend, and it was just a plain black car, and yeah. What a world we live in today that your father, we are now in a world where your mistakes your father has made behind closed doors is affecting your professional life right now. And that is that is the world we live in right now. And I'm not going to get too much into that, but it's just I'm not going to go out and attack Lilly for their decision. Apparently they've had some issues, some lawsuits in the past 15 years regarding racial stuff. So this appears to be them trying to distance themselves from any sort of that kind of negative press. But at the same time, you just have to wonder if they weren't really happy with. We're just kind of having second thoughts about this deal, and then just decided that we don't need to be a part of this. Oh, there's an excuse. It's like last year with Subway pulling out from Daniel Suarez because he bought Dunkin' Donuts for the team. Really? But and then anyways, and actually, let me get back on track here. Talk about the Xfinity race. It was a halfway decent race. We had a couple incidences. First, while Carl was having his issues, the 55 this week driven by James French. Apparently, that was the same car that got wrecked on the first lap at Mid Ohio, but it was apparently all mostly cosmetic, so they fixed it up. Apparently, they have not resolved the brake issues and lost brakes going into turn one. Went through the gravel, ripped the brake lines out. They tried fixing it, but it was too far gone. It wasn't safe to drive, so ended up parking it. And then right on that restart, Ryan Reed got tagged and wrecked pretty hard. The Lilly Diabetes, the primary Lilly Diabetes car getting tore up. Thought that was kind of funny. But anyways, that happened. And then went kind of green. Looked like Austin Cindric was going to run away with it in the Penske car, and then halfway through the second stage, blew an engine. There's that. Yeah. I won't really see him being a threat any other place for the rest of the year other than the Roval. But the Roval's such a question mark about who's going to run good there. We don't really know what's going to happen. So there's that. And then it just kind of ran green second stage for a while. We had someone laid down some fluid at one point. A bunch of cars went off. They threw the caution. And then shortly after that, the 45 Josh Bilicki, the teammate to the 55, lost brakes and really hurt that car bad and came out of the corner. Oh wow, Racing Reference got there. According to them, all the incidences that caused cautions happened in turn one, except for the 16's crash, which did happen in turn one. They said happened in turn three. So I don't really know what. Yeah, there's some. Keep in mind, this is Racing Reference is user generated, but at the same time, they are also right now the official. This is NASCAR bought them out a couple years ago, so this is official NASCAR results at the same time. So that needs some adjustment. Yeah, I really feel bad for Josh. That was a good car. That was their composite car. And especially at his home track, he had a real good run. He was running top 20 all day long, and that just kind of happened. Highlights, but then going on from there, the second half of the race, once Justin Allgaier got to the lead, he was gone. Nobody could match him. He 5.5 seconds over second place. Of course, that was helped by the 42 and the 18 car taking themselves out behind him. But anyways, that was that. 4 wins now for Justin Allgaier, and man, it's gonna be. I'm telling you, it's gonna be him and Christopher Bell this year. Allgaier took the points lead for the first time all year, 5-point lead over Bell. Elliott Sadler still kind of lurking back there in third, 12 points out. Cole Custer's 13 points out now. So and then it drops off. Danny Humrick's 33 points back in fifth. And then everybody, Brandon Jones, 183 points out right now. Looking at the Chase Standings right now, 10th to 12th is Austin Cindric, Ryan Reed, Ross Chastain. Chastain has like a 50-point lead over Michael Annett. So barring anyone winning out of the who's run every race so far, I don't see. I think the top 12 is pretty well set coming up these next couple of weeks. Um, right now you got Ross Chastain, or right now you got Michael Annett, Jeremy Clements, John Hunter, and then Ryan Sieg going back to 16th. But anyways, pretty good race. This was the better of the two races we had this weekend. Um, Justin Allgaier winning over Matt Tifft, and Matt Tifft seems to really like Road America. He did really well. Had a car that could win last year, and then got spun late and lost it to Clements. And then Daniel Hemrick with good points today, finishing third. Custer fourth. Sadler fifth. Your first real ringer is Justin Marks in the 42 and 6. Ross Chastain with a really good run. Once again, that team is just they are. The last 2 years they've really struggled. This top part of the year had some real bad luck, but now they are coming alive, and it's really good to see this year. Eighth was James Davison, the Australian driver, in the Gibbs entry, running another Days of Thunder throwback. Brandon Jones with a front end that was held together with ratchet straps. Yeah, he got some damage early in the race, but they fixed it, held the front end together with ratchet straps, and finished ninth. And then Andy Lally in the 90 car for Mario Gosselin finished 10th. He's been real fun to watch on these road courses. That car has been a real threat. Kaz Gralla with another good run in 11th. Michael Annett 12th. Jeremy Clements came back from a bad pit stop, finished 13th. Catherine Legg finished 14th. Real nice to see her get a good run in this underfunded Johnny Davis entry. But a lot of good press. She's working towards get some funding to do maybe some over races. So maybe we'll see her at Richmond. That would be fantastic for the sport. She's done a lot of racing. She's tested for F1. Had a kind of a so-so IndyCar career. Probably most known for her vicious crash here at Road America of all places in 2006. And then she's been a real good driver in sports car racing, winning a lot of races over the last few years. So very good. And then her teammate Garrett Smithley, who's never been that much of a road course racer, but finished 15th. Alex LeBay finished 16th. Ryan Ellis making his first start since like Daytona, the first Daytona. Once again running for BJ McLeod, finished 17th. Brian Henderson, kind of a combination entry between Brandon Built Motorsports and RSS Racing. Finished 18th. Joey Gates 19th, and Austin Bill Dawsonville. He did about as good as I thought he was gonna. The guy is 62 years old. He wasn't gonna win. Everyone just kind of expected him to go out and win. He was just going out and having fun. According to him, he had a quote like he had everything. He had everything but the pace. It was a similar quote to hit everything but the pace car, but he had a real funny quote. And then Spencer Boyd and Chad Fincham, 21st, 22nd. Some couple really good runs for those two boys who really out of their element. They are not road course racers whatsoever. So it's nice to see those two boys get quietly. Virtue of just how much attrition there was at the end of this race, just almost steal top 20s out of this. So a good point stays for both of those boys. And then next week's, of course, Darlington. So now, the other big NASCAR event this weekend, the Truck Series at Mosport. Now, to properly prep this was the first race of the Truck Series chase. They only got, because of their field, the size of their field and their schedule, they only do eight cars or eight drivers. So going from eighth, prepping up before this race, let's talk through the top 8 of those drivers. And I would have done this last week if I wasn't driving. 20-something hours. But anyways, I'm gonna do this for the Xfinity and the Cup chases too when they get to that. Basically, eighth place, Matt Crafton. He's kind of been a real disappointment this year. Knocking on the door a couple times for some wins. I think this team has been hurt most by the Thor Sports expansion into four trucks last year. He got one win last year at Eldora, and then he hasn't really done, and he hasn't won at all this year. So really been real disappointing. But barely got in there for the chase over his rookie teammate Mike Snyder. Seventh place is sophomore driver for GMS, Justin Haley. He's been a real solid driver this year. It hasn't been the absolute domination that his veteran teammate Johnny Sauter has done, or even the flashy runs and stuff that his Canadian teammate Stuart Friesen. But he's been a real solid pick this year, and he's got that win at Gateway, and we'll get to him later in this podcast. Going in sixth place into their race in the chase, Grant Enfinger. Still looking for that first win with Thor Sport, but they've been knocking on the door so many times. This has just been a real solid team. They got veteran crew chief Jeff Hensley behind them. Always fun to watch. Keep in mind, without the chase going into this race, he would be third in points right now. So he's just very, very consistent. Still just looking to break through for that win. Going in fifth, Stuart Friesen. Been a real quick turnaround. This has become. They took this operation. It was its own deal last year with Tommy Baldwin leading, and then halfway through the year they took it, merged with GMS, and now it's or started using GMS equipment. Now it's a full in-house GMS car, just known as Halmar Friesen Racing, but it's a full-blown GMS truck. And the results have shown he's been the second fastest GMS truck all year, and still we're trying to get that first win, but going in fifth. And then the rest are your probably the favorites. I once quote unquote favorites. Ben Rhodes been real fast this year. Got a win at Kentucky on the 41 for Thor Sport. Thor Sport's only win, unfortunately, so far this year. But he's been real good. He's won a lot of stages this year, get him this high in points. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of mechanical issues kind of plaguing him late. But anyways, he's a good pick for going into this. Third is KBM's only driver in the chase, Noah Gregson. He's got one win at Kansas. I believe it's just one win this year. But he's been a very, very fast driver this year. Yeah, he's got one win on the year so far. But been real fun to watch. And he's a definite threat for the championship. Second place going in, Brett Moffitt. The guy has just been. This is the little team that can. 4 wins on the year so far. Just hasn't had the consistency that Johnny Sauter has had. But it's just been so fun to watch this. The High Tory team has always been fun to watch. But to see them just completely explode out of the gates and just win all the time. And just have wins fall in their lap this year. It's just been extremely fun to watch. And then, of course, leading everybody going in, Johnny Sauter. They got been saying it all year. This is his championship to lose. He won at Bristol. Win number 5 on the year, I believe. Yeah, win number 5. There's a reason why he's the number 1 seed. He is the one you got to beat. And without the chase, he'd be 84 points ahead. That's over 2 races ahead. It's just insane. But anyways, that is your looking at the points going in. Now, what happened to the race today? It was a bit of a shit show. This was another race, road course race that was hurt by stages. You couldn't really get any funky strategy going on other than short pit 2 laps and yada yada yada, and then pit strategy, and then the Fox coverage. Oh my god! Oh my goodness! The Fox coverage was just horrendous. And then like 6 laps to go, the coverage just dropped. They lost their feed. Apparently, according to Fox, they had a power outage at the track, but or in their production studio at the track. But yeah, this was an embarrassing production by Fox. Just commercials out the ass. Just the calling was. They missed a lot of on track activity, and then just the actual production just failing when it's getting good. And then we came back and we're actually under caution. It's just not a good not a good look, guys. Especially when it was shaping up to be a good show. And then in the end, oh my god, I feel bad for Todd Gilliland. He had this race taken from him. Uh, yeah, there was a little bit of a gap, but at the same time, Noah Gregson drove up onto the curb and made himself a gap and took them both out. And this is the race. This is the racing for the win we've seen at Mosport since its inception. Since Chase Elliott won. It's just this is what we've had, one clean pass for the win. The Ryan Blaney win. It just seriously, guys. This is the crop of road course drivers we got on road courses right now in this development series, and a lot of this racing mentality comes from road course racing, or it comes from late model racing. Excuse me. Had to get a drink real quick. But we seen this in the ARCA race Saturday night. Joe Graff Jr. 2 car lengths back to the leader. Dive bombed into turn 3. Hit him in the left rear. Spun the leader out. Went on the win. Well, then ARCA caution came out and they had the 1 lap dash. But yeah, that was all bets are off. I'm gonna win this race. I'm in second place. That's the type of racers we're bringing up. And unfortunately, a lot of it's kind of bred from the boys have at it strategy officiating we've had, but it's just I can't really defend this type of road course racing. It's yeah, the Xfinity race got kind of chippy at the end, but it was just kind of refreshing to see just one guy just completely gone and not have to worry about the guys behind him getting at him. The last couple of Road America races have been pretty entertaining. So, anyways, those 2 guys lost. Todd Gilliland really, he did all he could to compose himself in that interview. They got him right as he got out of the truck, and he said, "Honestly, I should go fight him right now, but I need to go." And he was trying his darndest to bite his tongue. He's like, "I need to go compose myself," and he gained a lot of fans today, and I believe Todd Gilliland he's one of the next big superstars coming up, and I think right there is just gonna make him. His win will come. His time will come, and so it was just nice to see him try to take the higher ground. Not happy at all. He's got every right to be mad. Yeah, I got the people going online going, "Oh, he left half a lane open. He left half a lane open," but this is the type of racing, this chase racing, this elimination style racing's produced. you got guys just dive bombing in the last corners to try to get that berth into the next round, and this is what we're breeding. This is the type of racers we've got coming. So, yay. Anyways, who won? Justin Haley. Oh my God, he was sitting in third place, and the wind just kind of fell into his lap. Good. Yeah, good for Justin. I've always kind of. He's always had a good head on his shoulders, so it's nice to see him. Yeah, get another win. Even if this one fall into his lap. We've had a lot of races like this go on this year. Races fall into people's laps, but anyways, good for Justin. He punches his ticket to the next round. John Hunter finished second. In the madness, Brett Moffitt finished third. Timothy Peters made his return to this series. Got a last-second call. Basically, Dalton Sargent's been in the 25 truck all year long, and then something happened with sponsorship. The way the press release from basically GMS stated is that until his issues were resolved, Dalton is no longer in the seat. So it sounds like sponsorship has not been paid on time or getting paid at all. So they were going to put Spencer in the seat, and then Spencer apparently hurt his shoulder somehow. So then Timothy Peters had to, last second, go renew his passport so he can go up and fly to Canada and finish fourth in his return. So I'm really kind of hoping that GMS puts Spencer in that 25 truck for the rest of the year, or Timothy in that 25 truck. Spencer, of course, going to Cup racing next year. Spencer should be doing some more Xfinity races this year. But anyways, just to have another crafty veteran in one of their seats, I think it would be really good for the sport and really good for GMS. Matt Crafton finished 5th. Johnny Sauter finished 6th. Stuart Friesen 7th. Austin Hill 8th. Noah Gregson 9th. And then Alex Tagliani driving the 12 truck for Young's Motorsports. And his of course, doing his home race, Canadian race. Finished 10th. Came back from a spin and finished 10th. And then Todd finished 11th. And then going back down for the other chasers, Ben Rose, after starting on pole, I think he got spun late, finished 14th. And then Grant Enfinger also got spun late, finished 17th. Right now, looking at the chase, Johnny Sauter holds a... Right now, you're... for the next round, you got Justin, then Johnny Sauter, Brett Moffitt, where you would be your 3 moving on. I believe it's 2 falling out for this next round, and that would be Ben Rose and Grant Enfinger on the bubble right now. Non-playoff standings, Johnny Sauter, Noah Gregson would chop because of his performance. Because he won those 2 stages, he would cut the deficit down to 75 points, but still, that's a 75-point lead over second place Johnny Sauter. This is definitely a stand-in I'm gonna keep following to the end of the year. And Stuart Friesen would move up to 3rd in points, so that's pretty neat. Anyways, let's go through highlights of road course ringers. I think we had some more fun ones in the Truck Series than we did in the Xfinity Series. DJ Kennington driving the 49 for Premium Motorsports. For Jay Robinson, finished 12th. A really good run for him. DJ's a really good road racer. He's got a lot of laps at Mosport. On down. Jason White. No, not the Jason White you're thinking of. There is a Pinty Series driver, Canadian Series driver, named Jason White, and he made his debut in the Truck Series this weekend, driving for Josh Rayum. He went ahead, finished 24th. Jesse Uiji, K&N West driver, made his debut in the national level, driving the second truck for Josh Rayom, finished 25th. Justin Kunz, a Wayland Euro Series driver from Germany, he finished 26th, driving for Jennifer Joe Cobb. He was the last one running. He was 3 laps down. And then the rest of these drivers fell out for various reasons. Roger Roos driving a second truck for a combination effort between Jordan Anderson and JJL Motorsports. He finished 27th after a wreck late in the race. Ray Sixcarelli got a last-second call to drive at the 50 for Beaver. He finished 28th. Max Tolman has been a part-time ARCA driver this year. Starting to do more and more of these National Series events. Moving on from ARCA. Road course expert, but he had a transmission failure midway through the race. And that is your Ringers. Trucks is now off for a few weeks. I believe Las Vegas is the next race in 3 weeks or something like that. So, anyways, what else? Oh, and then quickly, as I go through this Friday night, the K&N ran their second combination event at Gateway. I think it was the first time K&N's been at Gateway. But anyways, Derek Kraus won over McAnally teammate Cole Roos. Derek Thorne finished third for Buncati. And then Ruben Garcia Jr. was the first East Series driver, driving for Rev, finished fourth. Chase Cabri fifth. And then Tyler Ankrum sixth. Looks like we got some tore up car. We had a 10 car. Will Rogers driving for Levine. He had a engine failure early on, and then there was a 2-car wreck between Juan Manuel Gonzalez and Haley Deegan. So I'm sure we will get that highlight video later this week. IndyCar was also at Gateway. 7 cars in Indy Lights. And bring back the Atlantics. Man, yeah, they were really struggling to put car. Apparently, this was a good show. There was I think it was a last lap, or a late pass, like 5 to go. Ryan Norman won over teammate Colton Herta. Top 3 cars are Andretti cars. There's 4 cars that are Andretti cars, 2 that are Bilardi, and 1 that's Juncos. 7 cars. What? At this point, why is this series even still here? They really got to do some serious cost cutting in that series. But anyways, last night was the Bommarito Auto Group 500, the 500-kilometer race at Gateway. It was a barn burner last year, and it was a barn burner this year. A lot of pit strategy. It went clean and green for much of the race. Sebastian Bourdais got loose on the start, hit the wall, and then about 175 laps, about 75 laps from the end, Ryan Hunter-Reay stopped on the backstretch. I guess had a fuel injector issue on his car, and then it became a pit strategy race. Alexander Rossi used it, get a good lead over Scott Dixon, who dominated up until that point. But then Will Power got around him. Power won just the second time this year, I believe, which is kind of hard to believe. Hasn't really had it. No, he's got 3 wins this year, but it hasn't really been a banner year for him this year. But Alexander Rossi once again chops into that points lead, just a little 3 points, chopping into that points lead to Scott Dixon, 26. Man, its points battle is really shaping up. I'm really hoping Rossi kind of really chops it up, so we got a neck and neck race at Sonoma. But anyways, Dixon finished third. Simon Pagenaud came back from an ill handling card, finished fourth. Rookie Zach Veach, driving for Andretti, finished fifth. Spencer Piggott, once again, had a decent run, finished sixth. Defending champ Newgarden seventh. Ed Jones eighth. A lot of question marks about that ride for next year. I think that had a. I'm trying to see any rumor, but yeah, there was a rumor that there was a sports car driver was going to get that seat next year. So kind of feel bad for Ed, but that team, the second car at really struggled. The last 2 years has really struggled between Tony Kanaan and Ed Jones. And then Takuma Sato finished ninth, then Graham Ray Hall 10th. And then how about old Pietro Fittipaldi? Just the second race back after his horrible World Endurance wreck that started the year at Spa. Finished 11th. Points battle right now. Scott Dixon now only has a 26 points lead to Alexander Rossi. Will Power is third, but he's really back there. He's 68 points back. He really needs both Dixon and Rossi to have issues to get back in it. Newgarden's back in fourth, 78 points back, and everyone else is pretty much out of it at this point. Ryan Hunter-Reay, 147 points out. You can officially count fifth on back, I believe, out. Simon Pagenaud, sixth. Robert Wickens, he's out for the rest of the year. And then question mark whether he will come back at all. Seventh. Graham Rahal, eighth. James Hincklidge, ninth. And Sebastian Bourdais drops to 10th in points. The rookie battle, Wickens has 391 points. The next one is Spencer Piggott. I don't really see Piggott getting there. I don't think Piggott can do it. I think he's too far back. No, Veach is next. Yeah, I think Wickens will be your rookie of the year this year. Unfortunately, he's recovering from pretty horrific injuries, but Sam Schmidt had parked the 6 car for this weekend, but they are talking about they will bring it for Portland and Sonoma. And then this morning, F1 running that Spa, and oh boy, that was a messy start. Nico Hulkenberg barreled right in, launched Fernando Alonso off the back of Charles Leclerc. Alonso's car landed on top of Leclerc's car and actually put the halo to a very good test. Just a week after the whole debate in the IndyCar series about the halo or Aerostring coming back up. But yeah, that was an instance where that probably prevented Leclerc from getting some serious injuries right there. I will admit, I haven't been a fan of the halo. I thought it was a little rushed out. I never quite liked the design of it, but I admit it did its job. Little clap right there. The halo did its job right there. Meanwhile, it was just another classic strategy dual race. Vettel got it this week, led every lap, and was able to maintain over Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen finished 7th. Valtteri Bottas came back from qualifying 17th after a spin in Q3. Finished 4th. The newly rechristened Racing Point Forest India. As Lance Stroll's dad has purchased that team. As a result of the ownership change mid-season, the FIA has wiped the team's points up to this point. So they have gone ahead and they finished doubling the points, and they're already ahead of Williams in points. Oh my God, it's been a horrible year for Williams. Oh man, I love that team, but oh my god, it's been such a struggle seeing them struggle. And then Haas with double points once again, seventh and eighth. And then Pierre Gasly in ninth, and the Toro Rosso and Marcus Ericsson quietly in the points with the 10th place finish. And then um, yeah, and also this morning was the Pinty Series racing at Mosport. Alex Tagliani won over Kevin Lacroix, LP Dumoulin, and JF Dumoulin. Anthony Simone fifth, DJ Kennington's sixth, Gary Clute seventh, Andrew Ranger eighth, Malcolm Strachan ninth, and then Donald Thedage in 10th, Julia Landauer, former West Series driver, running for CBRT, quietly finished in 16th. 26 cars, pretty good looking field for the Pinty's drivers. That is pretty much our racing we got this weekend. Right now is the Oxford Plains 250 going on as I speak. I guess it'll be over by the time this podcast goes to the air. But yeah, one of the biggest super late model races going on of the year, and at the fantastic Oxford third mile. It's almost a true circle. It's just so round. Next week is Throwback Weekend, Darlington. Saturday is the VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero 200 for the Xfinity Series. And Sunday night, the Bojangles Southern 500. Truck's next race is Las Vegas, coming up in 3 weeks, I believe. That is quite a wait. The Pinty Series races next week in Autodrome Saint Eustache. I think that's a French name, and I'm butchering it. 4/10 mile oval. K&N West is off until the 13th of September, so yeah, that's 2 weeks. Yeah, that would be 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Running the dirt track at Las Vegas, and yeah, that is gonna be one to watch. That is a NASCAR throwing stuff at the wall for this division and seeing what sticks. And either this is gonna be like, I don't think it's gonna be as good as Trucks Eldora. I just don't think you're gonna get the field that you think you're gonna get, and I don't think that level of drivers. A lot of those drivers are asphalt drivers through and through. They never touched dirt in their life. So yeah, that's gonna be a one to watch. East Series coming up in a month on the 22nd. Running New Hampshire for their second New Hampshire race of the year, doing 2 events this year. Mostly as the Cup Series left, so they got a big modified race coming up that weekend. But before the modifieds go to New Hampshire, they're running at Oswego, the famous 5/8 mile, doing the Toyota Mod Classic 150. Next week, the Peak Mexico Series is running at Autodromo Miguel E. Abid. I believe it's a mile oval. Also known as Puebla, if I remember correctly. So I click on this results. No, it's a road course. I believe it's built inside of an oval, though. Yeah, it's built inside of an oval, a 1.25 mile oval. I do not believe at the that series races on the oval anymore. Let's see, look at the. Okay, here is listed as an oval. So yeah, maybe it's just racing reference with the. According to Wikipedia, that track was up for possible IndyCar dates. So. Okay. There's that. Coming up in 2 weeks, the Whalen Euro Series, I believe, their last race of the year, last weekend of the year, the Hockenheim Ring. Next week, we got on Labor Day, we got the Labor Day Classic, the General Tire Grabber 100 ARCA Series at DuQuoin. Next Sunday, IndyCar at Portland, returning to the track for the first time in well over 10 years. So that's a region that's been sorely lacking a major motorsports event. So that's good to see. And then I do not know if F1 is racing next week or not. They are racing at Monza. That ought to be a fun race. As I'm just scrolling down, I believe supercars are off until Sandown. Next week, ACT Tour is racing at Thunder Road, the Speed Bowl in Vermont. Fantastic high bank quarter mile track. 2 weeks. Cars Super Late and late model stock are racing in Orange County. Fantastic 3/8 mile oval. And then IMSA returns in 2 weeks at Laguna Seca. That is pretty much all I got for this week. This is going to be a long. I'm clocking in just an hour right now. But basically, I'm going to get off of this, and I'm going to get plugging along on the next Wookie Drives. I got filming done last week on 2 cars, so I'm trying to knock them out in what little time I got. Hopefully, the next week I'll have the episode 11 is a something a little different than what I've done, but it covers a brand I haven't done yet, so I get to rant and rave about what they're currently doing. It is a new, not brand new, but new within the past couple of years, so I'll get to talk about the current state of that automaker. So that'll be a fun episode. But anyways, expect that. Whether or not I get anything else, just extra content out, and then expect this out on YouTube, iTunes, and ShoutEngine. But anyways, this is the Wookie. I will get off, and sayonara.
I don't know about you, dear, but with winter what it was and prices what they are, I need to save every penny I can get. No, Daddy, down, play dead. That's why I love Martin's. I can get all kinds of summer goodies at discounts lower than a leak in a lobster pot. It's like the more you shop at Martin's, dear, the more you save. So you go home a hero. All right, Daddy, here. Go buy yourself a big tasty plate of tools